Hey guys, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn how to move around the page. Okay, so when I say page, I mean the worksheet part here. Okay, now I have to admit, this skill of moving around the page is so underrated, and I think the reason most people don't actually practice this is because they don't realize how much time they're wasting on trying to get the view right. Also, I don't think they've ever seen someone who is really highly skilled at doing it. So they don't think it's possible, or it's not something that they just notice. So here, for the very first time in possibly internet history, we're going to become the masters of scrolling. Okay, now it is very important to have this in mind when you're working, because if you're not looking at it and you can't see what you're working with very clearly, or you're spending too much time trying to see what it is, you're wasting time, and time is money. So make sure you get your view right. Okay, so let's begin by scrolling up and down. To do this, we're going to use the slider here on the right. Okay, so I'm going to highlight it. This bar here, okay, is the slider. Okay, so if we click this and drag it downwards, we're going to scroll down. Okay, so if we're at the bottom, scrolling up, so play around with that. Okay, now the same thing goes for going left and right, as you can see here. So if you click the bottom one, you're going to move left and right. Now, some of you may have this setting where it's invisible. I really highly doubt it. I don't think many people will have this issue, but I'll show you how to get out of it. On the bottom, you'll see two bars. Okay, you want to click on this left one, like so, and you want to drag it to the left. Okay, now I think the reason this is actually in here, this special minimization function, whatever you want to call it, is because as you add more of these sheets, now we're not going to get into what sheets are at the moment, right? But to put it simply, it's almost like pages in a textbook, right? So your Microsoft Excel file is like a textbook, and each of these are pages, okay? Now, when you have enough pages, it starts to look something like this, and you'll experience this soon enough, right? And you end up covering a lot of them, like so. So just to give you a bit of room, I think Microsoft have just given this function to extend the amount of space. So keep that in mind later on, should it become an issue. Okay. Now the other thing is you can use the sliders, or you can use these triangles. Okay, left and up and down, left and right. So here, let's try this. So if you click on the triangle, it goes down little by little. Okay, so that's when you want to do really small movements. Okay, now it's the same thing for left and right. Let me show you that. Okay, all right, so that's the first method. Now let me show you the next method. This next method does come in handy when you want to move in large amounts. Okay, so if we start at the very top here on your keyboard, and I'll put a picture up of where this next button is going to be. Okay, the button is called page up or page down. Okay, and it's pretty simple. Press page down, the page goes down. Press page up, and the page goes up. Okay, so let's test it. I'm about to press page down, like so. Now, as you can see, it's completely disappeared. Where is it? It's at the top. Okay, so why to do that? Well, when you press page down, it goes down by a huge amount, not just one or two rows. It goes down by like 50 rows, okay? And the same is for page up. So if we press page up, it's going to go all the way to the top. Okay? Now this has its uses when it comes to really long lists or really big sets of data. Okay? But I think for now, you'll most likely just use the slider. I thought I'd mention it for some of you out there who are willing to try it. Okay, so the next method we're going to be using is actually the mouse. So let me switch over to my mouse. Forgive me if you hear some clicking and some scrolling of the mouse. It is a little bit noisy. Okay, so the first method, right, is to, if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, and I'll put a photo up of what that means, but I think all mice or mouses or whatever you want to call it pretty much have scroll wheels now. It's that wheelie part in the middle of your mouse, okay? Now what you want to do is click down with that wheel and it's going to change to that. As you can see, it's 4 triangles now, right? And what happens is, as I move away from it, depending on how far I am from it, will determine how fast I move. Okay, further I go, the faster I move, and further up I go, faster I move, and so on. Now this works for left and right, up and down, and so on. Okay, so let's go back up. Where am I? A bit lost. Okay, now the very last method, this is probably the most common that everybody uses, okay, is just to scroll with the wheel on the mouse. Now if I scroll, I'm going to scroll down, right? It'll just move down. If I scroll up, it's just going to scroll up. Now, this can only go up and down, okay? Some mice can go left and right, depending on what you got. But this is probably the best, because if you scroll really fast, you can go down really fast, as you can see the slider on the right. And if you slide really slow, it goes down by very small amount, so you can still see where you are. So this is probably my personal favorite for going up and down, and probably going to be your personal favorite as we move forward with this training. Okay, so I think we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys learned a couple things here in regards to moving around the screen. Now as we move forward, please feel free to come back to this lecture, because depending on what you're working on, it's going to become really useful knowing how to move around the screen. Okay? That's it from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time.